Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Divine and in today's tutorial, I'll be showing us how to cut and sew a side ruched shirt with a collar and also a palazzo pant. So I'll be making use of my African print fabric and a plain crepe for today's tutorial. So if this is something you're interested in, kindly watch this video to the end. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel. Thank you. So I have 3 yards of my African print fabric here. I'll be folding it into 2 so we can cut out our palazzo pants first. And to get the width of the folding I'm going to be using, I'm going to divide my hip measurement by 4 plus 2 inches for ease because this is going to be a free pant, plus 2.5 inches for my crotch extension and 1 inch for my sewing allowance. That is 14.5 inches. So the width of the fabric I'm going to be folding is 14.5 inches, so we don't waste the fabric. Next, I'm going to be marking out our starting point, which is our waist measurement here. I'm going to be using a band of 2 inches. So I'm going to be placing 2 inches on that waistline there before I start taking my measurement. And my measurement I'll be taking is my hip line of 8 inches. Then next is my crotch depth, and my crotch depth is my hip divided by 4, which gives me 9 inches. I'll be adding 2 to that 9 inches because it's a palazzo pants to get a crotch depth of 11 inches. Then I'll mark my knee length of 21 inches and my pant length of 39 inches plus 2 inches for folding allowance. So I'll mark the same point on the other side. So I added 2 inches to my crotch depth, and to get my crotch depth I said is my hip measurement divided by 4, which is 9. 9 plus 2 inches, which is 11. Now on the crotch line, I'm going to be marking my hip measurement divided by 4. I'll mark that out, which is 9 inches. Plus 2 inches for ease. I don't want this pant to be fitted, so I'll mark that out. And all I have there is 11 inches. I'll mark the same thing on my waistline so I can get a straight line. So my hip measurement divided by 4 plus 2 inches for ease. Next, I'll mark my crotch extension, which is my hip measurement divided by 16, which gives me 2.5. I'll mark 2.5 for my crotch line, and also on this straight line here, I'll mark 2.5. Then I'll connect the 2 points together using a curve. So this is what I'm having. So I'm going to measure all I have here from the crotch extension all the way to the other end and divide it by 2 so I can get my crease line. After dividing it by 2, I'm going to measure what I have from that midpoint to one side and mark it all the way down so I can get a straight line. Then what I'm having from the crease line to one end is about 7 inches. I'm going to be minusing 1 from that 7 inches to give me 6 inches. So I'll be marking 6 inches on both sides of this crease line. So you can also mark 7 inches or you can take it straight down from the crotch, but I don't want it to be too baggy. So I'm going to be minusing 1 from the 7 inches. So I'll mark 6 inches on both sides of this crease line, and I'll use my ruler to connect the points together. Then from my knee line, I'm going to connect from my knee line now to my crotch extension. I'll be using this curved part of my ruler. And on the other side, I'll be connecting the crotch line to the knee line. I can use a straight ruler for this or also a curved part. So you make sure you blend properly. Next, on the center front of my pants, I'll be coming down from the waistline with 1/2 inch. I'll connect that 1/2 inch to touch the side of my pants. So I'll blend the 1/2 inch from the center front to the side waistline. Then I'm going to add my seam allowance of 1 inch on this side all the way to the end. So I added 1 inch all the way to the end. Then I'm going to cut out, but I won't be cutting out the 1/2 inch I came down with. I'll be cutting that after I cut out my back pattern. So we're going to be using the front. This is the front. We'll be using the front to cut the back, and after which I'll cut out the 1/2 inch that I came down with. So this is what I'm having. So this pant is going to be having a pocket, so I'm just going to mark out where our pocket will be, and I'll first be marking our seam allowance of 1 inch before I mark our pocket width of 2 inches. I'll mark our pocket width of 2 inches. That's 2.5 after we sew. So I'll be marking 2 inches and a depth of 7 inches. So I'll mark that out. Then I'll draw out the pocket curve. So I won't be cutting out this curve yet because I need the front to cut the back. After we're done cutting, I'll cut out the pocket and also the waistline. So I'll fold my fabric again into two to cut the back, and I'm going to be adding extra 3 inches to the 14.5 inches we folded for the front. So I'm going to, after doing that, I'll be placing my front pattern on the back pattern and extend the crotch line. Then I'll mark our crotch extension of 2.5 inches. After which I'll extend the hip line also and mark 2 inches for allowance. I'll take that 2 inches all the way to the waistline. So the crotch extension is 2.5 inches, the hip line is 2 inches, the waistline is 2 inches. And from the waistline, I'll go up with 1 inch. This is for the back. The back is higher than the front, so I'll go up with 1 inch. And I'll connect that 1 inch now to touch the waistline on the side. So that is why I said we should not cut the front ½ inch, so that we can know where we are extending the back 1 inch from. Then I'll connect all the points together. Then on the side here, I'll be adding 2 inches for seam allowance. So I'll add 2 inches all the way, then blend it like so. So the crotch extension is 2.5, the hip is 2 inches, the waist is 2 inches, and I went up from the waistline with 1 inch. So I'm going to be cutting out the back piece of this pant. Okay, so this is what we are having after cutting. Then I'll be cutting out the ½ inch from the front waistline. So to draft out our shirt, I'll be using a pattern paper, and from the side of the pattern paper, I'll be going in with 2.5 inches. I'll mark that out. This 2.5 inches is for our button placket. So I'll draw out 2.5 inches first. This is for our button, the button placket. I'll label this button. Then next, I'm going to be marking our chest line measurement, and I'll be adding ½ inch to this chest line measurement to make it 8. Our apex, which is 9.5 inches, I'll be making it 10 because this is a loose shirt. Then I'll mark our half length of 16 inches and our blouse length of 24 inches. But I'll be adding 2 inches to this blouse length to make it 26 inches because we want this blouse to be a bit long because it has a drawstring. So by the time we draw it, let it not be too short, so we'll be adding extra 2 inches. Next, I'm marking our shoulder measurement, which is 14.5 inches divided by 2 to give us 7.25. I'll be adding ½ inch extra to this to give us our shoulder measurement. So I added ½ inch to our shoulder measurement because this is a free shirt. Then I'll be coming down with 1 inch now to get our shoulder slope. And for our neck width, I'll be using 3 inches, and for the neck depth also, I'll be using 3 inches. I'll connect the neckline, then draw out our shoulder slope like so. Next, I'm going to be marking out our bust measurement divided by 4 plus 2 inches for ease and 1 inch for seam allowance. On our waistline also, I'll divide our round body measurement divided by 4 plus 2 inches for ease plus 1 inch for seam allowance. And on the hip line also, I'll divide the hip measurement divided by 4 plus 2 inches for ease and 1 inch for seam allowance. So when we cut on our fabric, we won't be adding seam allowance to the side of the dress, of the blouse anymore, because we've added it to the pattern. Now I'm going to divide what I have left from the shoulder slope to the chest line. I'll divide it by 2. Then on the midpoint, I'll go in with ½ inch to get the armhole curve. And I'll connect all the points together like so. Then I'm going to be cutting out only this shoulder slope here. I'll cut it out. Then I'll trim out the excess on the lower part. After which I'll be placing another sheet of paper underneath this front pattern so we can get our back pattern. And before we do that, I'm going to fold in this button placket. I'll fold it in, then make sure the the center back and the center front align on this side. After doing that, now I'm going to be tracing or cutting out the back pattern like so. I'm following the shape of the front. I'll cut it out, then I'll pull down the front pattern and measure 3 inches from the top of the back pattern. So I'll measure 3 inches all the way, 3 inches, following the shape of the shoulder there. Then I'll be placing the front pattern on the 3 inches mark I've made. Then I'll fold the back pattern to rest on the shoulder of the front pattern with 1/2 inch. So the back is going to climb the front pattern with 1/2 inch. So by the time I trace it, you can see that the back is 1/2 inch on top of the front. And we're only concentrating on the shoulder slope, not the neck width. After which I'm going to cut out our pattern like so. And you can see the way I'm cutting it. So I'm cutting it as the back is resting on the front. So please take note of how I'm cutting it. Then for the back neckline, I'm going to start from the neck width and draw a curve till it touches the end of the back pattern. This is our back pattern, our back neckline. Then I'll pick up the front pattern only and cut out the neckline. Then pick up the back and cut it also this way. So this is how we'll cut our back neckline, and this is what we are having for our shirt. So you can see the back is resting on the front with 1/2 inch, and this is what we're having. Now for the lower part, I'm going to go up with 1.5 inches on this side, then blend it out so that we can have a nice curve on that part. Then I'll cut it out. So this is what we are having. This is our front pattern here, and this is our back pattern here. So when I'm cutting, I'll be adding seam allowance all around this pattern except the side which we've already added 1 inch to. Then for the front also, I'm going to be trimming out this excess on the bottom placket. I'll trim it out, and I'm going to be adding my seam allowance all around this pattern to except the side which we've already added 1 inch to the pattern. Now I'm making use of a mixed fabric for this shirt, so I'm going to be cutting out the back using my African print. So the back of the shirt is going to be the Ankara fabric, and you can see I'm adding my seam allowance to the neckline, to the shoulder and the armhole. So I'm going to mark the back of this fabric. Then I'll be using my black crepe for the front, but I want the bottom placket to be the African print, so I'll be cutting out the bottom placket. I'll fold my black crepe now into 2, and I'll cut adding my seam allowance. So the center front of this shirt, this front pattern is going to have seam allowance of 1/2 inch, which we will use to join back to the bottom placket. So I'll be adding my 1/2 inch seam allowance here. Yes, then I'll cut it out like so. I'm also going to mark the back so we don't mix it up. So for my bottom placket, I have 2 pieces of African print fabric here. I'll place it like so. I'll pin it, then cut, and I'll be adding my 1/2 inch seam allowance to the side we cut out from the bodice, so that we'll have what to use to join it back. I hope you understand that. I'll be adding my seam allowance on the upper part also, and I'll be ironing stay on this fabric here. Now to cut the sleeve, I'll be folding my sleeve into 2 first. Then I'm going to mark out the starting point of this sleeve. After which I'll be marking a sleeve length of 9.5 inches plus 2 inches for folding allowance. That's 11 inches. After which I'll draw out my armhole curve. Then make sure I have up to 10 inches on this armhole curve plus seam allowance of 1 inch. So my armhole curve is going to be 11 inches. I'll cut out this curve. Then mark my round sleeve measurement divided by 2 plus 1.5 inches for ease and 1 inch for sewing allowance. I'll be cutting 2 of this for the second sleeve. Then for the band of my pants, I have a width of 5 inches and a length of 24 inches. I have 2 of this, so I'm going to be joining this on one side so it can be enough for the band. I'll be showing us how to fix our band. And this is the remaining piece of fabric we have, which we'll be using to cut our collar. And this is all our pieces that we've cut in today's tutorial. In the next tutorial, I'll be showing us how to go about the sewing of this shirt and this pants. Thank you guys for watching, and see you in my next video. Bye for now.